Former Montego Bay Councillor assault case dismissed. The case against former council for the Montego Bay West Division in St. James, David Brown, who reportedly assaulted his ex-girlfriend during a confrontation in May last year, has been dismissed. The complainant had previously expressed that she was no longer willing to proceed with the case. However, the courts had struggled to get her to appear in court or give a statement to the police, which slowed the process. On Thursday, she finally showed up at the St. James Parish Court and declared that she no longer wanted to continue with the case. Based on the information provided by the complainant during the court proceedings, the prosecution offered no evidence against Brown. As a result, the charges that were filed against him were dropped and the case was dismissed. Brown was represented by attorney Albert Morgan, was charged with assault occasioning actual bodily harm and malicious destruction of property. Principal of Taki High School offered bail in Burglary case. Taki High School Principal Errol Basco, who is charged with burglary in relation to an incident at his home on February 26, was on Tuesday offered bail in the sum of $600,000 when he appeared in the St. Mary Parish Court. Basco, who is also a former prospective candidate for the People's National Party in St. Mary Western, was ordered by the court to surrender his travel documents and report to the police as part of his bail condition. The educator, who had earlier described the allegations leveled against him as malicious, was charged last Sunday with burglary by the St. Mary police, but has remained at the helm of Taki High despite several calls for him to step aside. Speaking with reporters this week, a representative of the Ministry of Education and Youth noted that any decision to remove or send Basco in indefinite leave lies with the school board, which has launched an investigation into the allegations made against him, the embattled principal. In the meantime, Oswald Senior Simmet, one of the attorneys representing Basco, said his client is maintaining his innocence and that there was inconsistencies in the statement given by the 23-year-old male accuser. Senior Simmet told reporters that he highlighted certain discrepancies in the case against Basco during the bail application on Tuesday. The discrepancies, according to the attorney, center around a purported report by the investigating officer that was made public on social media. He argued that there are significant differences in the report said to have been generated by the investigating officer and the actual statement given by the accuser. Basco, who resigned from the PNP in the wake of the allegations, is to return to court on May 14. Police Federation promises full support for new commissioner. Several stakeholders have thrown their full support behind newly appointed Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake and have expressed confidence that he will continue to steer Jamaica Constabulary Force in the right direction. General Secretary of the Jamaica Police Federation, Corporal Arlie McBean, told reporters on Wednesday that the Federation is quite happy with the selection of Dr. Kevin Blake as our next Commissioner of Police. Whilst we recognize the brilliance of all the other Deputy Commissioners, Dr. Blake has been, I would call him, the wind of transformation in the JCF through technology and other means that have been seen in different areas of the JCF that we never thought of being modernized to a level of acceptance and recognition. We are at a level where our thrust is to improve on different areas of policing in order for the citizens of Jamaica to be safe, she added. We are giving our full support to our new commissioner, and we want to thank Major General Anthony Anderson for the tremendous job that he did while serving as Commissioner of Police, she stated. Corporal McBean said the Federation is looking forward to great things from Dr. Blake, noting that she would like to see a focus on human capital and expressed the hope that the welfare of the rank and file members of the JCF will remain priority so that we can serve you citizens out there. She added the most important resource is human resource, and you have to ensure that all of that remains the internal priority so that we can give the great service as we remain professional and respectful and serve the citizens of Jamaica. Corporal McBean said the Federation also looks forward to further advocacy on many outstanding issues and to see how best they can be resolved. Opposition urges Finance Minister to prioritize wage talks with public sector workers. The opposition is urging Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke to prioritize wage talks with public sector workers. Since the restructuring of the compensation system began, several public sector groups have expressed dissatisfaction with the process of the wage talks resulting in a number of their members taking industrial action. Some trade unions representing the workers have also expressed difficulty in securing meetings with Dr. Clark. This has caused many of the public sector workers to be restive, and at least one group has issued an ultimatum to the government. Earlier this month, the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, JCTU, wrote a letter to Dr. Clark issuing a 10-day ultimatum for him to meet with the group to settle several issues. The minister then promised the union a formal response. In his contribution to the budget debate in Parliament, opposition spokesman on finance Julian Robinson appealed to Dr. Clark to meet the disgruntled workers. He said among the many vexed issues is a compensation for travelling officers.
It is important that we treat with our public sector workers with an approach which is one of mutual respect, open communication and dialogue. The unions feel, Minister, that you have not been responsive to their many requests and that they have had to issue ultimatums, as the JCTU did 2 weeks ago, to get a response. And I'm urging you, Minister, to deal with the issues that have been raised, not just by the JCTU. There are a number of other restive groups. The JMDA, the medical doctors, they are restive. I can assure you they are. There are other groups who don't have large numbers. They are also restive. And what they complain about is that when they write to the ministry, and I know it's not always to you, but the ministry, the responses are not done in a timely way. And they feel that they must up the ante for there to be a response to their many issues. So I'm urging you, Minister, I know you have a meeting with them on Saturday, as I understand it, that you listen to their concerns carefully and that we find a way to resolve the concerns. Prior to the compensation review, a traveling officer could have allowances which would represent up to 60% of their total take-home pay. Allowances, which were outside your basic pay and as such outside the tax net. Those allowances have now been rolled up into your gross salary, and now you are taxed at a higher level of income tax. So for many of the traveling officers, they have ended up, in some cases, at the same level they were, or even just marginally better. Last week, Saturday, a traveling officer from our ministry came to me, and he said, my salary, my net salary after tax, has only moved by $6,000 per month. So he said, when I take out the increases in the food, transportation, I'm actually worse off than I was before.
Persons encouraged to use the appeals process for PATH. Persons who are turned down from the program of advancement through health and education PATH are being encouraged to utilize the appeals process while the Ministry of Labour and Social Security reviews the selected procedure. Portfolio Minister Pernell Charles Jr. gave the advice during the question and answer segment of the Ministry's Town Hall series on a path to transformation with the Ministry of Labour and Social Security on March 13 at the St. Gabriel's Anglican Church Hall in Maypen, Clarendon, and online. The Minister said the process of selection or beneficiary identification system, BIS, is one of the mechanisms that has presented challenges in the system. He acknowledged that there have been concerns raised about persons who have been unsuccessful in their application despite meeting the eligibility criteria. There is a process now that those persons who did not make it through the preliminary evaluation can still be put forward to a committee to be evaluated to see whether or not they ought to be on path, the minister informed. He said the appeals process gives these persons an avenue to have their applications reconsidered. They ought to be advised of the appeal option immediately as they are turned back. Once you don't get through, the next step should be that you are advised that you can appeal, the minister pointed out. PATH applicants are invited to visit the Ministry of Labour and Social Security office in their parish of residence to complete the application process. The process may also be undertaken at designated centres, communities, or within homes of elderly or persons with disabilities. Demographic and other socio-economic data are collected on individual family members and the information entered into the BIS. The BIS applies a proxy means test to derive the family score. Families that have attained a score that is at or below the cutoff point established for the program are provisionally selected to participate. Final selection is subject to verification of the information provided during the application interview process. Benefits are delivered to families for a period of 4 years after which they are required to reapply and be reassessed for continued eligibility. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.